Hello there, and welcome back to the booth here at the World Magic Cup. Marshall Sutcliffe with Luis Scott Vargas, and getting right down to it here, Luis. We've got pool play. Win twice, you're in. You've got one loss to give per pool here, and this is going to be the first round of that. Down in the feature match area, players are ready. We've got two of our better teams. We've got Belgium versus Spain. Let's head down right now. Hello and welcome to coverage of the World Magic Cup. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Luis Scott Vargas, and we are ready for Stage 2, Round 1, as we're calling it here. This is going to be, well, this is where things start to get really interesting. We're in the final stretch of the tournament before we cut to our top 8, and we've got Belgium versus Spain down in the feature match area here. We've got Jerome Bastonia. He's playing Goryo's Vengeance versus Pedro Gratti, who is on Naya Burn. This could be a quick one here, Luis.
Yes, the Goryo's Vengeance deck is certainly the deck with a faster kill, or is capable of faster kill. You could actually kill on turn 2 if you get the right draw. But Burn is very consistent at whittling down your life total, and the Goryo's Vengeance deck, a big part of its combo is getting a Gristlebrand into play, either via Goryo's Vengeance or through the Breach. Gristlebrand does not fare quite as well when your opponent's casting Goblin Guides and Lava Spikes, because it just makes it harder to pay life to draw cards. The ultimate combo, what it's trying to get to in the Goryo's Vengeance deck is combinations of Nourishing Shoals, World Spine Worm, eventually getting Borborygmos Enraged in play, and discarding a bunch of lands to deal a bunch of damage. It's a pretty neat deck. I actually saw Jerome play last round as Belgium defeated Portugal to knock them out of the tournament.
All right, well, good start here for Pedro with that Monastery Swift Spear to get in for a point of damage. Pedro's on the draw here, so he is going to have to work against that.
And one of the things that Jerome may do in this matchup, when playing as Burn specifically, is not try to go off all in the same turn. Not try to play, get out of Gristlebrand, attack, and then draw 21 cards. More like get out of Gristlebrand, attack, draw 7 cards, so stay at about the same life total, and then assemble your combo over a period of 2 turns.
Looks like Faithless Looting to kick things off here for Jerome. This is a key piece of the puzzle. It helps him find the things that he needs to get his cards back into play or to cheat them into play, and then he can also, of course, get some stuff in the graveyard. It looks like he's just going to discard a pair of lands here, though. And
so there are 2 reasons that he would discard lands over Gristlebrand. The first is he doesn't have one. So if he had a Gristlebrand, he would maybe think about that. The second is Through the Breach is the other way of getting Gristlebrand into play. So if Jerome has Through the Breach and doesn't have Goryo's Vengeance yet, he'd rather just keep a Gristlebrand in hand. Though in this case, again, he doesn't actually have a Gristlebrand on deck quite yet.
Wow, he's got another Faithless Looting to keep working through his deck here. He finds a World Spine Worm.
And the Gristlebrand.
And the Gristlebrand off the top. Now, Gristlebrand can go to the graveyard. The World Spine Worm, however, does not.
And here we have the situation where even though Jerome has Through the Breach and not Goryo's Vengeance, by keeping World Spine Worm in hand, he can discard Gristlebrand, and now he's set up to cast Goryo's Vengeance if he draws it, and if he doesn't, he can through the Breach the World Spine Worm. It is also nice against Burn that you just have Nourishing Shoal in your deck, and you can gain 11 life at instant speed.
Yeah, we should take a look at Nourishing Shoal if that one comes up, because it's not a card that we see played very often. This is the only deck that plays it in the format.
Meanwhile, the Burn deck has a Tarka's Command and potential Skullcrack post board. Mm-hmm. Let's see if this Burn deck is interested in playing that. But it is hard to keep mana up for Nourishing Shoal, or to stop Nourishing Shoal when it costs no mana. Yeah, and there's right. 3 Skullcracks on the board of the Burn deck.
By the way, Luis, I've got an update already from one of our side tables.
On turn 3, huh?
Somehow, Naya Burn versus Goryo's Vengeance was not the fastest game here. It was Peter Vieren with Infect defeating Miguel Angel Nunez Reyes with Dredge. Just ran him right over, apparently, with the Infect deck.
All right. I mean, if you play Glistener on turn 1, you can win on turn 2.
Turn 3 kill in this case. Yeah, looks like a Night's Whisper here for Jerome.
Oh, and that hit a very important card. Simian Spirit Guide means that Jerome can play a turn 4 Through the Breach here. So he's going to be able to get something on the board and start pressuring Pedro, even though he's not assembling the combo his deck is built around.
Pedro's going to crack a fetch land here.
I've seen fewer Naya burn decks than I had expected. It's certainly a solid deck. It's got enough good matchups across the field that it's not a bad plan. But it is a more consistent deck than it is a powerful deck.
Luis, you're not going to believe this. Somehow this is the last game going of the first three. Another Game 1 win going to Belgium. Bronco Nyrink picks up the win with Naya Burn in his hands versus Javier Dominguez on Infect. So right away, Belgium already up 2 games in this best of 3 matches to determine who wins the round.
I just want to see the other 2 matches finish before this game finishes. These guys are like really deep into a game. It's like you don't actually have to finish that.
Yeah, well, I can assure you, Luis, that will not happen as we're actually holding them. we don't want to miss anything on as far as what games decide who goes forward. Now we're going to see. You mentioned it a second ago, the Simian Spirit Guide powering out a turn early here through the breach. And that's going to make a World Spine Worm. And this is just a very simple 2-card combo here. The World Spine Worm is going to hit the battlefield, attack for 15, which in this case is actually lethal.
Yeah, if Pedro doesn't have a Lightning Helix, then he's actually just dead. The World Spine Worm just has a 15.
And he just loses. Yeah, he would actually get the worms as well when it died. But no need for them. How about tap 4 lands, do 15 to your head? And that's a clean sweep there for Team from Belgium. Wow, they've won all 3 Game 1s in very quick fashion. Jerome's going to look around and go, how did it go? I already won my game. Wait, really? Both of them did. So great stuff down there out of our first match. Are you ready? And we will be back right after these messages.
Play for your chance to win sweet prizes at the Standard Showdown. Sleeve up your biggest, baddest, most busted deck and throw down at a participating local game store. 4 weeks only, every Saturday from November 26th through December 17th. Find tournaments near you at magic.wizards.com/Standard Showdown.
Kaladesh is now available on Magic Duels. Build endless deck combinations with more than 1,000 unique cards. Play through hours of story with 50 campaign missions. Play Magic Duels free today on Xbox One, Steam, iPad, and iPhone.
And welcome back to the feature match here in Rotterdam. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Luis Scott Vargas, and we had a blistering first round of games there here in Stage 2, Round 1. Belgium versus Spain. Belgium sweeping all of the game ones. Here's a nice shot of two brothers who made it on the same team. That's Peter Vieren on the left side there. He is actually the captain, the national champion from Belgium. His brother, that was Pascal on his right, who won a World Magic Cup qualifier to come play with his brother.
Can't imagine how awesome that would be to be on. Know you're on the team because you're the captain, and just watch your brother win a World Magic Cup.
Yeah,
qualifier.
it was funny. We see, by the way, that his opponent here, Miguel, is going to 5 cards. Let's see if he's got a keep. Peter was at the tournament. He's going to go to 4. It looks like. So that'll give us a chance to tell the story. But yeah, Peter actually went to the World Magic Cup qualifier with Pascal to kind of root him on. But it was a little far away from where he lived, and he actually had to catch the last train home to make sure that he could go home that night, right as the top 8 was getting underway. And as he made it, his brother made it to the finals as he walked out of the building. So he got on the train, and he got on his phone, and they were actually streaming the event. So he was watching that, but the internet on the train wasn't really cooperating with him, so he couldn't see it. So he got frustrated, and instead of doing that, he gave up on the stream, and he started having an instant message conversation with a friend of his who was watching the stream and relaying back all the things that happened. And he said he got really frustrated because his friend would just be like, "Oh no," but not tell him what was going on. But at the end of the day, Pascal did end up winning the tournament, and now you can see that they get to play with each other. It's pretty cool.
Do you think they're so happy because Peter's opponent is mulliganing to 4 right now?
That's part of the smile there. Yeah. You can see the demeanors a little bit less so there. A turn 3 kill for Peter Vieren in the first game, and now his opponent is going to 4 and has not yet kept, I might add.
And I will say this, that Dredge is a deck that mulligans fairly well, because once you have, like, for example, here, this Cathartic Reunion plus Stinkweed Imp, you don't need that much more. The deck doesn't actually play from its hand all that much. Like, yes, it's better to have more land and more resources, but you don't actually need, a bunch of cards to cast, because that's just not how your deck works.
He kept that land on top of his library.
A good play from Peter Vieren here, by the way. Take a look at his hand. He has Spell Pierce, and he didn't play a 1-drop. Spell Piercing Cathartic Reunion is a nice one.
Wow, yeah, that was sweet. He declined to play one of his 2 Glistener Elves or even a Noble Hierarch on turn 1, but now we're going to see that change. And Miguel, unfortunately for him, is really going to be left with no resources here. That was basically mind twist you.
It's not all bad for Miguel because he did get to discard a Stinkweed Imp, which is actually where he wants it, but having nothing going on, I mean, he can Dredge, try to hope to hit Conflagrate and have 1 card in hand to cast. He can Dredge, hope to hit Life and Loam, maybe start rebuilding with Loam. But for the most part, it's just going to be difficult. You rolled a 4 and you got 3 for 1, kind of. I mean, it's not a full-on 3 for 1 because the Stinkweed Imp being in the graveyard is where Dredge wants it.
Yeah, getting your Cathartic Reunion Spell Pierce has to be terrible, but this is like the least so. All right, well, let's see if Miguel can make some type of a miraculous comeback here. It's going to start with a powerful Dredge from the Stinkweed Imp, and wow, he did kind of hit. He got 2 of the pieces. He's just going to immediately pass the turn, it sounds like, and that's going to get him 4 power and a blocker. Okay.
And that is, for a 5-card Dredge, that's not bad. Unfortunately for Miguel, he's missing another Dredger in the graveyard, and he doesn't have any discard outlets. So his next turn is going to be draw for my turn, and when Dredge is just drawing off the top, very few of its cards are really what you want to see. Right,
and with no Dredge cards in the graveyard, he now has to find a way to get one to the yard as well. Gitaxian Probe reveals what Peter Vieren already knew.
Why do you think he cast it then?
Do you not have a theory on that? Interesting. Miguel's actually just going to immediately chump block the Glistener Elf. He's going to keep himself poison free for the time being.
And that makes sense if you have Prized Amalgam and you have a way to keep finding blockers. because you don't want to just die to a flurry of pump spells. But as it turns out, that's not what Peter was sitting on.
Somehow Peter Vieren's going wide with the Infect deck, not what we typically see from it. And unfortunately for Miguel, he's just found a Bloodghast. He can't even cast it.
Yep, Bloodghast is one of those cards you basically never want to draw.
Right. Bloodghast really not the card that he wanted to see at this point in the game. And things are going to get very tough. The Blighted Agent can attack on its own if Peter just wants to make sure that it hits. He's also got a total of 4 Infect creatures if he'd like.
Yeah, and he's got a Pendelhaven lurking in hand, so...
Yeah.
It's kind of up to Peter whether he wants to throw away Glistener Elf to get another Glistener Elf through, because the Nexus and the Blighted Agent will, of course, get through safely. Given that Miguel is at 0 Infect, it's not necessarily what he needs to start by doing, especially since Peter is, again, a hand full of more Infect creatures than actual pump spells.
Is Conflagrate the only card that Peter's really worried about here?
It's the only card that can have like a dramatic effect on the game. Like a card like Dark Blast is a good card. I mean, that is one of the reasons that you have that in your deck is to fight against Infect, but that's not really going to stop those 4 creatures, especially with a Pendelhaven sitting there. So I would say that Conflagrate is more of a concern.
Okay, well, Peter's just going to take the safe route here, get in there for 3, poison counters, and pass the turn back to Miguel. Miguel does find a land here. Copperline Gorge lets him cast that Imp.
Stinker Imp is a respectable card. When it's in play, it can block any of the Ink Moth or either of the Glistener Elves and will win the game. Or rather, the fight. The game is slightly out of reach at this point.
Right. The problem, of course, being the Blighted Agent here. Peter Viren has the win. You can tell how he's tapping and playing. He's just making sure that he gets everything lined up. But I think I saw Become Immense in his hand there.
Even attacking with the Noble works, Pendelhaven works, whatever Peter wants to use.
Yeah, he's just sort of lining up his mana a little haphazardly, but he's got it. And there it is. Become Immense, and this would win the match, and it does in fact win the match here for Peter Viren. So that sets Peter and the Belgian team up 1 game away.
Yeah,
they have won game 1s across the board. They have yet to give up a game, in fact, in this round, and that means that if they can win any of these games, then they will be 1 to the good and really put the Spanish team up against it. So we're going to go to our middle table here. That's Javier Dominguez. He's the team captain from Spain. He's playing Infect on their side. That is Branko Niernik, who is on Naya Burn, who won that game very quickly early on.
Yeah, Infect against Burn is a matchup I would expect to go fairly fast, since both decks pretty capable of killing by around turn 4, maybe turn 5. In some cases, turn 3.
No, it wasn't. Just a basic.
Looks like Javier may have mulliganed this game.
Actually, Branko Niernik's on the mulligan here.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. You can see that Pascal has popped over to look over the shoulder of Branko. Of course, this is a team event. And, well, it depends on which player's playing and how much help they need or how much help they can take. But you'll see quite a bit of that happening here. Let's see if we can get a quick start here from Branko. Well, this is a potential problem here from Javier Dominguez, which is Grim Lavamancer, a source of effectively repeated burn spells.
Oh, Grim Lavamancer is a great card against Infect if you have the time to deploy it. I mean, it takes a little bit of time to get it going, but it again, like you said, offering repeated damage makes it really hard for Infect to stick a creature.
Oh, this is really tough now for Javier Dominguez. He's only got the 1 forest. That means that Branko, by getting, say, even just another fetch land like the Wooded Foothills in his hand, he can take down 1 of these Glistener Elves and potentially set himself up to mow down the other one with Grim Lavamancer. And that is going to make life very difficult for Javier and Team Spain, because if this Grim Lavamancer goes the distance, that's Belgium picking up the win here.
And Javier on one land, he kept a hand with multiple Glistener Elves and Blossoming Defense in one land, which can cast all his spells, but Infect really needs to string together multiple things in the same turn if they want to win a fast game. And that's just going to be really difficult with the way things stand.
Yeah, and here we go. There's one of them down. He needs to find a land. Ooh, he found a Pendlehaven.
Pendlehaven's a good land. That Wild Nicottle actually providing a problem here, too. Javier may have to trade a pump spell for it because he can't attack past it, even with a Pendlehaven that makes Glistener off a 2/3. And without blue mana, he's unable to play Blighted Agent, which would normally scoot around the Wild Nicottle easily.
Yeah, that's right. But man, this just never gets better for Javier, because if he does do that, then he's down a pump spell, and there's another card in the graveyard for Bronco. Then when he finally finds blue, yeah, it just gets out of hand pretty quickly.
The problem is if Javier doesn't make a play like that, then he's not really making any progress, and he will eventually lose to the Grim Lavamancer. So being aggressive and trading off for a Wild Nicottle makes sense. It's going to be really hard for Javier to win this game, though.
Now, just to give a bigger picture perspective, as Belgium does look like they're on the verge of taking the round here. This is a little different from last year as far as our round play goes. How does it break down?
So teams are in groups of 4, and they'll play 3 rounds if necessary, but basically they play until they get 2 losses and are eliminated, or get 2 wins and are passing through. So if Belgium wins this round, then they just have to win one of their next 2 rounds to advance. If Spain loses, they have to win both of their next 2 rounds.
Okay, so not an elimination for either team in either case. By the way, that was Searing Blaze doing serious work for Bronco, and again putting 2 cards in the yard, potentially setting up that Grim Lavamancer to do work, though we'll have to team up with something now. The Pendlehaven doing good work.
Yeah, both players are kind of in the standoff where if Javier taps Pendlehaven, the Grim Lavamancer can get used, and if Bronco taps the Grim Lavamancer, of course, then Javier has a window to drop a bunch of pump spells. So they can both just keep their cards and lands untapped, and that will generally favor whoever is making more progress otherwise.
Yeah, it also seems to favor Javier as well, just in the sense that it costs Bronco mana plus a resource to activate his Grim Lavamancer, where Javier, it's much simpler just to tap the Pendlehaven.
Right, so you wouldn't see Bronco end of turn use Grim, untap, use Grim, because he's a little far away from that right now.
Right. Well, Eidolon of the Great Revel is going to be pretty punishing. Virtually every card in Javier's deck is going to trigger that Eidolon outside of the Become Immense.
And that's exactly what Bronco needs, because he's got certainly an advantage with that Grim in play, but he wants to be able to press the issue and force Javier to do something before he dies.
He can really press the issue here. He's got a Path to Exile as well.
That's a great answer.
Tarmogoyf here from Javier.
Yeah, Javier sighted in. It looks like 4 Tarmogoyfs. Kind of the go big plan. You play a 2-mana 4/5 against Burn, but Bronco actually has Path to Exile in hand.
He does. Interesting choice here for Bronco.
He could also shrink the Goyf by Grim and Lavamancering away an instant creature, but then Javier also has all those types already, so it doesn't actually accomplish much.
Yeah, he's got instant creature and land in his yard already.
Search.
Interesting to see those Tarmogoyfs, though. They don't have Infect, but they're still a great card, and something that oftentimes your opponent won't have great answers for, though. In this case, he did.
I'd like to see the Tarmogoyf plus Become Immense. That's the new plan.
I like that.
Okay.
Javier's hand is now reduced to Blighted Agent and Might of Old Krosa, so 2 powerful cards. There's an extra copy of Eidolon of the Great Revel in hand for Bronco. Yeah, Bronco using the Path to Exile to kill the Tarmogoyf. They're pretty important, because Tarmogoyf as a damage plan looked much better with an Eidolon out, and Bronco already having used up. I mean, he's at 10.
The second Eidolon is really just makes it so the game cannot last very long.
That's right, one way or the other. And the Grim
either player's taking
Lavamancer,
4 damage every time they cast a spell.
right? And Grim Lavamancer, though, just passively applying that pressure, hit you for 2, and then maybe get some attacks in with the Eidolons, makes life very difficult for Javier. He may only have another turn.
And Bronco's at 1 poison right now.
Yeah. Interesting part for Javier, he is at 11, which means that he could cast 2 spells and take 1 hit from the Lavamancer and still be alive. But he'd have to win the game. to make that work, because he could then never cast another spell.
So Javier actually is at 11. He can cast 2 spells. Javier could potentially try and win this game right here.
I think he has to.
So he can animate the Inkmoth Nexus. He can go for either like Pendelhaven or Might of Old Krosa. And then if Bronco uses Grim Lavamancer in response, you can Mutagenic Growth the Inkmoth Nexus. You take 6 off the Mutagenic Growth and 4 off of the Might of Old Krosa from the Eidolons, plus the Phyrexian mana on Mutagenic Growth. That drops Javier to 1, and he just has to hope Bronco's last card is not a burn spell. So Javier might actually be able to pull this out.
Wow, he's going for it. He doesn't have another choice, and it doesn't... Yeah, I'm taking a look at the hand. It's a Copperline Gorge in hand for Bronco.
And the 1 Grim Lavamancer is just not going to get the job done here.
No decision.
Man, that Grim Lavamancer got to mow down a couple of creatures, and it's just not enough.
Well, yeah. If Javier goes to attack, so he needs to play this Might of Old Krosa before he leaves his main phase here.
Yeah, that Pendelhaven blanking the Grim Lavamancer has been really important here.
And so Bronco can't even go for the Grim Lavamancer. So that actually makes things slightly more problematic because he can't go for Grim Lavamancer. Javier can't actually pay the life to Mutagenic Growth to go for the win because Grim will just target Javier. So one way around that, you could have tried to bait by using Pendelhaven first, because now you can't actually use Pendelhaven either because it's bigger. But then if Bronco goes to try to kill your creature in response, you cast a pump spell, the Pendelhaven will actually fizzle because it won't be a 1/1 on resolution. So
that's right.
Javier's going to have to try and survive another turn, but that's just going to be really difficult here.
Oh, so close. He does get him up to 6 poison, but Bronco and company, they're trying to decide if they want to use their Grim Lavamancer just to go upstairs here, I think. And they're going to.
Yeah, and that's going to mean that Eidolons could potentially lock Javier out of casting spells here.
Right, and if he can't cast spells and he can't deal with the board, he's just too far behind, even with just 2 lands in hand for Bronco.
So if Bronco drew a fetch land, which is interesting because he can go to 7, fetch, and then now have a Grim Lavamancer activation. You attack with both Eidolons. Javier blocks 1, falls to 3. You Grim Javier down to 1, and then you have Eidolon in play with Javier at 1 life. And
yes,
at that point, Javier can attack back, but can't actually cast any spells, and is like 2 turns away from killing you with poison.
Yeah, and even then, Bronco could use the Grim Lavamancer on the pumped Glistener Elf just to take another threat off the battlefield and really crimp the resources of Javier. It's just going to be super tough. These Eidolon of the Great Revels look great.
Yeah, if you're locking your opponent out from casting spells with Eidolon while dealing a good amount of damage.
Yeah.
I like this attack.
So Javier can block and then Pendelhaven.
So I guess it is going to come down to, as someone points out, if you draw Become Immense,
yes,
you that gets around Eidolon. So
yes.
Become Immense is Javier's best last hope.
Yeah, because that does not trigger the Eidolons. It costs 6, even if you're only going to pay a mana for it.
So Grim can take down Glistener Elf here. That'll drop Javier to 3 from the Eidolon attack. And then the 2 Eidolons in play with Javier at 3 means it limits the options of what he can cast severely.
Okay, he's going to kill the Glistener Elf with the ability on the stack. And that's going to put Javier down to 3. And this is a massive draw step for Spain. He needs to find Become Immense. Oh, that's a breeding pool. That's not going to get the job done. Javier Dominguez with the big smile. He knew he needed a Become Immense to get the job. It was so close, too. This Infect deck it never seems like it's fully out of it, though. It is now.
Yeah, the fact that Javier can't cast a spell without dying is going to make it harder.
Somewhat problematic, that's right. So he goes for it. He forces Bronco to remember the triggers, which he does, and that's going to put Belgium 1 to the good. All they have to do is win one of their next 2 rounds, and they're going to advance. For Spain, it's pressure time. It's go time. They've got to win back-to-back rounds to advance. So, this is how it goes. But hey, you do get 2 chances. It's a real simple structure. You win 2 and you're through. That's all you have to do. And really an impressive fashion there, I have to say. Belgium just sort of ran right through Spain. I mean, they didn't even lose a game.
Yeah, those games were not only incredibly fast, they were incredibly lopsided.
Yeah, they really were. And, I've got my piece of paper here, and it's just like a bunch of marks on the Belgium side and relatively clean.
Looks like they won 5-0, right, in terms of game count?
Yeah, so hopefully, for them, that they kind of got that out of their system, and now, Spain can regroup and get through. Now, when it comes to Belgium, the pressure does also increase, though, because, Belgium is in a situation where now they got to win one of the next two. I mean, how hard could it really be, right? And but they do have to do that if they're going to make it through. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. Belgium, one of the strongest teams out there for sure. All right, well, that's going to do it. We'll be back after these messages.
Welcome back to the news desk, where we are still deep in the round. Plenty of matches still going on, which means we'll go out onto the floor with Brian David Marshall in just a minute. Let's show you what we do have, though. 4 pools, remember, now here in the top 16. Let's take a look on the big board. Here's Pool A for you. Belgium, Ukraine, Dominican Republic and Spain. You've watched Belgium pretty much just demolish Spain there. Ukraine, they are winners over the Dominican Republic. So that means that Belgium and Ukraine get to play each other to see who advances to the top 8, with the loser having that loss to give. Spain against the Dominican Republic next round is an elimination match. The winner will play at 1-1 to see if they can get into the top 8. So that is Pool A. Let's go to Pool B for you, where we have one result in. Italy played Bulgaria. Italy win, the defending champions, 1 win away from getting back to the top 8. 73 countries come in, only 8 get to Sunday. Italy just 1 win away. Andrea Mengucci, Andrea Casamenti, Alessandro Portaro, Mattia Rizzi, they are heading perhaps for a top 8. Panama against Germany, they are still playing. Germany with a top seed coming in. The winner of Germany-Panama will go on to face Italy to see who goes straight in to the top 8. The loser of Germany-Panama will face Bulgaria, with one of them going home. Let's go to Pool C for you. Now, by my reckoning, we don't have any results in yet for Pool C. It's top v bottom and the middle pair. So that means United States up against Macedonia. Australia are up against Belarus right now. So they're still out on the floor. And finally, Pool D, let's show you that, where we have one result in. The top seed Finland, the number 4, defeated Lithuania by 2-1. So Finland will play for a spot in the top 8 in the next round against the winner of Greece against Malaysia. No result yet for that. So that's where we are, because just 4 pools, 16 teams left. Let's see what's going on out on the floor. BDM, what are you watching?
Thanks, Rich. I'm here watching Team USA versus Macedonia. And over here, we see this is game 2 right now. USA with the Tron deck being played by Lee Marino, and Macedonia with Dredge. And an Insolent Neonate just got cashed in on turn 1 for a Golgari Grave Troll and all the ensuing shenanigans that come with that.
So green-white Tron on the right of your screen for USA, Dredge on the left, there we are for Macedonia. And I've got Simon Gertzen, Pro Tour champion, here with us. We're seeing a Bloodghast, a Prized Amalgam, Golgari Grave Troll, couple of lands there, Simon. How are things looking from the Dredge side of things at this stage of play?
Amazing. Such a huge graveyard this early in the game is all you could ask for. The big question is whether there is a relic of progenitors in the near future, because that would really screw up Dredge's plans.
Yes, that could be a little bit awkward, but that's the situation. BDM, what's going on in the match as a whole? Do you have a sense of who's winning overall between USA and Macedonia?
So I can tell you that Martin Anik beat Owen Turtenwald in the B seat, and the match with Kevin Jones is going into game 3.
So that's
right now.
Right, so that's Grixis Delver for USA against Infect for Macedonia. They're heading for game 3, and Macedonia's Abzan deck defeated Owen Turtenwald, who was playing Infect for USA. So 1-0 up to Macedonia right now. And again, BDM, this is game 2.
And I can tell you, this is game 2. Lee Marino for the United States won the first game.
Okay, so USA up a game in this one, as we see a second Bloodghast come down on the left of your screen for the Macedonians. And there's Prized Amalgam, back it comes, tapped.
A little shake of the head from Lee Marino as he just says go there.
So that was 3 land, a Narcomoeba and an Insolent Neonate going to the graveyard. So here's a Narcomoeba now.
That was a 7-point attack. Drops the Americans down to 13 there in that match, in that game.
So from 20 down to 13. So we're going to see some Expedition Mappery coming soon.
Yes, most likely for the missing Tron piece, so that Karn can come down. But the big question is if that Planeswalker alone is enough to stem the bleeding.
Well, maybe we're about to find out, because here's the Expedition map at end of turn, as we predicted. And off I go to find...
I can tell you in the other match, Macedonia has come out very quickly with a Glistener Elf, followed by a Blighted Agent on turn 1 and 2. Nothing on the board yet for Kevin Jones, who's cracked a fetch land at the end of his opponent's turn 2.
Okay, thank you, BDM. So Macedonia with Infect against Grixis Delver in the other match. Simon, you just noticed there, as Jack was looking at the deck for Team USA on the right-hand side of the table, a card that happened to be at the front of the thing, and you went, oh, what's that going there?
There is Rest in Peace, and that's something that the green-white Tron deck has available, which the red-green Tron deck, of course, doesn't. The problem is there enough time to deploy it and deal with all these creatures on the battlefield?
Right, because that's a very big board already. The graveyard is maybe less than half the issue right now.
And worth noting, guys, the expedition map went and fetched basic forest here.
Thank you, BDM. Basic forest off the expedition map. Draw for Team America.
Still quite a bit of magic going on out here on the floor. Looks like Team Germany and Panama just ended. Everyone's being very stoic, so I can't get quite the read on who won that, but I'll give them the universal thumbs up, thumbs down sign to see if I can figure it out. It was Panama who got the win there.
So that means that Panama will face Italy in the next round to see who goes into the top 8. It puts Germany into the elimination bracket. Italy v Panama will be your next match in Pool B for the top 8. Bulgaria versus Germany will play to see who stays alive and who goes home. Incidentally, in Pool C, BDM, just poring over the archives here, we are, of course, a multi-format event here at the World Magic Cup. Do you know, very quietly, Australia have been utterly dominating the modern rounds. By my reckoning, they haven't actually lost a round of modern yet, and that's been going since yesterday afternoon.
I think that might be true of the Italians as well.
So we've got nice big 3 counters on Khan Liberated. They work just the same as 3 small counters on Khan Liberated. As we see more dredge action. Narcomoeba, Bloodghast, Stinkweed Imp, couple of lands. Here comes Narcomoeba back. Australia in this group, of course. They're playing Belarus right now. Hoping to be playing the winner of this to see who gets into the top 8.
See a nice little wrinkle here on the deck. Macedonia attacked everything at Lee, nothing at the Planeswalker, and flashback. Rally the Peasants for the win.
Simon, a bit of rally action. That's pretty extraordinary. So Dredge gets the job done.
Yeah, Rally the Peasants. We also saw Scorch Devil earlier for a very similar purpose. And yeah, the Karn, as I predicted, was not enough to actually stop the Dredge deck from doing what it does best.
So game win there for Macedonia, who knocked out the other North American Titans in the last round. Canada bit the dust at the hands of this Macedonian team. Miro Popov and the rest of the Macedonians still very much grinding away here in the first round of top 16 action. As we head across to the match, Kevin Jones there is on the right of your screen for America, and on the left you see that Glistener Elf and Noble Hierarch in play. Simon, any early thoughts on the board state right now? How advantageous are things looking for the Infect deck?
It's looking relatively even. The Infect deck has an Infect creature in play, which is of course kind of the prerequisite for winning the game. But on the other hand, the Grixis Delver deck has what it wants. It has bought itself the time to develop mana, and it has so much removal that it's really difficult to play against.
So 3 matches still going, USA against Macedonia. In the same group, Australia against Belarus. And then in Group D, we're still waiting to find out the winner of Greece against Malaysia. Bill Chronopoulos, Panagiotis Papadopoulos.
I can tell you that high fives are going all around on the Greek side of the table there. It looks like they have just won their match.
All right, thank you, BDM. That means Finland will play Greece in the middle round of pool play. The winner of that will be in the top 8. The loser will have another shot at it. That puts Malaysia into the last chance saloon. They will face off against Godenis Vidigiris and the rest of the Lithuanian team. Knowing that the winner gets one more crack at the top 8, the loser will go home.
There is no more magic on the floor right now other than USA versus Macedonia. About 10 minutes left in the round, but there's a fair amount of extra time for at least 2 of these matches due to deck checks earlier on.
So getting a result in now, BDM, that Belarus are victorious over Team Australia. So Belarus advanced to 1-0 in the group. They will play for the top 8 next round. Australia go into the losing bracket in this set of pool play, and they will face the loser of the match you're on screen with right now. So will Australia face USA in an elimination match, or will it be Macedonia facing them to stay alive? We'll find out in the next few minutes. You're seeing it live here from the World Magic Cup in Rotterdam, the WMC 2016.
Here's a Tassiger from Kevin Jones. Fistful of pump spells for the Macedonian team, but not a lot of mana there to deploy everything. Of course, they don't all require a lot of mana. Between mutagenic growth and the delve cost on become immense.
How big a roadblock is Tassiger, Simon, at the moment in terms of putting a crimp in the infect plans?
I was just doing the math, and with Exalted, Pendelhaven, and a +2/+2 effect like mutagenic growth, you can attack into Tassiger, but it does cost you a lot of resources to get through. It's really, really important to have blockers for those infect creatures, if you can.
So let's do the math as we go along. Here's a Glistener Elf. It is attacking. Here is mutagenic growth on the Glistener Elf with the Tassiger already blocking. It got the +1 from the Noble Hierarch, of course. And that will do it. So it's a turn and a mutagenic growth for a Tassiger. That seems kind of all right, Simon.
This is great. Yes, you're keeping the pressure on. What you shouldn't do here is to deploy Blighted Agent, because you really don't want to play into your opponent's electrolyzers if possible.
So Glistener Elf and Noble Hierarch, 2 land on the left, 4 land on the right, that's all. Simon, 2 land, reasonable number to work with for Infect?
Yes and no. You can cast all your spells, but you always want more mana, because it's just so much more threatening to play against.
So if you are just joining us, this is round 1 of stage 2 of pool play. No one gets eliminated this round. The winners get to play for a place in the top 8 next round, knowing that even if they lose, they can come back in the final round to determine the top 8. But the losers this round are in single elimination action in the middle round of pool play, because the second loss is the end of the road. We're looking to get down by the end of today from 16 to our top 8, who will come back tomorrow. You'll see every match in order, all 4 quarterfinals, back to back to back to back, the 2 semis, and then the final. But Simon, here we go with mutagenic growth on the Glistener Elf.
Well, that's a defensive mutagenic growth.
And if you're looking for the card,
go ahead, Simon.
If you're looking for the card that is turning this game around, it is it Staticaster. That's a nightmare for Infect to play against.
Sorry about that, BDM. Just doing the little triangulation of you and Simon here at the desk.
I can tell you that game 3 between in the other match is underway here, with a pair of Bloodghasts in play for the Dredge deck, and returning a Prized Amalgamate to play. So a pretty good start here on turn 2 for the Dredge deck. He's got 7 points of power in play already. Yeah, remember, Macedonia is already 1 match to the good here, so any match that goes to Macedonia will mean the round goes to Macedonia.
and that's because the Abzan deck of Macedonia defeated Owen Turtenwald's Infect deck in the middle seat earlier in the round. So USA behind, needing both the remaining matches to go their way. So we see Horizon Canopy come down for Macedonia. And now it's Blighted Agent.
And I can tell you, off camera, things are looking pretty grim for the United States here. Lee Marino just passed turn 2 without a second land drop.
BDM, do you want to just head across with Jack and take a look at that Dredge matchup maybe? Just give us a little shot of that, give us a sense of that one maybe. Here we go, swinging round, and there you see it. That's what's going on here, and Dredge is, wow, prized amalgam, double Bloodghast, goodness me. Yeah, Macedonia, Simon, Macedonia well ahead here.
Yes, as you can see from the board state, Tron stuck on a single land. That's clearly not going to cut it against Dredge.
So tough times for USA, but again, cannot emphasize enough, this is not the end of the road. It just gives them a pretty hefty detour into the weeds of pool play in rounds 2 and potentially round 3. The Macedonians getting very nervous and very excited.
Paul Yim and Lee Marino are collaborating on this match, and you see them going over Lee's hand, trying to figure out what they're going to do here. In the last leg of Modern, Paul Yim was playing this deck.
Remember that Belarus are awaiting the winner to see which of them can then go on into the top 8 after 2 rounds. Australia are waiting for the losing team from this match to determine in round 2 of 3 which of them leave the tournament at that stage.
So Chromatic Star got cracked for green. Ancient Stirrings found another Urza piece here. And Lee is hoping that he has enough time against this board. Golgari Grave Troll's getting dredged. There is a Rally the Peasants in the graveyard for the Macedonians.
Simon, with Rally the Peasants already in the graveyard, here's a Golgari Grave Troll being dredged. Is there any way USA can have enough time here against the dredge deck?
Only with the Ravenous Trap. That's the last card I can think of to stop this scary
coming?
graveyard, yes. This was a keep on the power of Rest in Peace, but then if you don't draw your second land, of course, that's no help.
And there it is.
Rally the Peasants seals the victory for Macedonia, and they take 2 out of 3 matches from Team USA without the third match completing. Sending it back to you guys at the news desk.
All right, thanks very much to Brian David Marshall down on the floor there. By our reckoning, that is the last result of the round. So we're going to set up a deck tech in just a few minutes, because Kevin Jones from the United States, he has been really carving a name for himself this weekend. He is not one of the star names in the field, but his play has been garnering a lot of accolades. He's been playing Grixis Delver in Modern, and that's a deck that takes a lot of skill to pilot. Indeed, the US team, Owen Turtenwald, took the decision that they were going to build their modern decks around the idea that whatever else, Kevin Jones would play the Grixis Delver deck, and then they found 2 complementary decks to go with it. So Kevin Jones is going to be here in just a couple of minutes to walk through his deck tech, his version of Grixis Delver, and give you some tips and tricks for playing with that. But here at the news desk, it's time to walk you through pools A through D as we head towards the middle round of pool play. So I'm going to open up. Let's take a look at Pool A. We'll do this in alphabetical order for you. Pool A here at the World Magic Cup on day 2. 16 teams getting down to 8. That's what we're trying to accomplish here. And how have we done that? Well, 1 plays 4, 2 plays 3. In this case, that's the top seed number 1 Belgium against 16 Spain, and that was so fast. The Belgians utterly dominated that one, and it says 2-0, but as I'm pretty sure they didn't drop a game in that one, and it was over by halfway through the round. As for Ukraine against Dominican Republic, well, Ukraine are the winners of that one, and that means that Belgium will play Ukraine in the next round. The winner of that will go on to the top 8. The Dominican Republic face Spain. The winner will stay alive for one more round at least, but the loser of Dominican Republic against Spain will be done in the top 16 stage. Let's move on to Pool B for you then and see what's going on there. So here all the results are in, of course. So we had Germany against Panama, the top against the bottom again, 2v15 and 7v10. That was Italy against Bulgaria. You know, Germany and Italy were in the same pool earlier in the day. They went at it hammer and tongs. They're in the same collision course again. And this time we see that Germany have lost to Panama. Italy have beaten Bulgaria, so that means that Italy will face Panama. Phenomenal story for Panama, never made day 2 before. That was the top 48 this morning, then top 32, now top 16. They are now 1 win away from a top 8 slot. Saul Alvarado, a very small, very passionate community, great job by them. They are 1 win away. They have to beat the defending champions Italy, though, who are also 1 win away from the top 8. Bulgaria against Germany will be your elimination match in the middle section of Stage 2 play in Pool B. Let's take you to Pool C then. And we're halfway through. Let's see what Pool C has in store for us. Well, we now have the result of United States-Macedonia. Macedonia turning in to the team that is just taking North America apart. First it was Canada eliminating them in the last round, and now they put the United States under the gun. Macedonia will play for the top 8 in the next round. Fantastic job, and well done Belarus as well. They've defeated Australia. That is Australia's first defeat in modern. Belarus will face off against Macedonia for a space in the top 8. Australia and USA will go at it, with one of them going home after the next round. And that leaves us just one more pool to bring you the information on here at the World Magic Cup. Here is Pool D. Finland, Greece, Malaysia and Lithuania. Malaysia the only non-Europeans in this pool. Finland defeated Lithuania by 2-1, and that forces Gaudenis Vidigiris and the team into the elimination bracket. Who do they face there? It's Malaysia. Che Yan Shang, the captain for them. Malaysia will face Lithuania for elimination. And meanwhile, Greece, with Bill Chronopoulos trying to get back to a World Championship team final, as he did in 2014 in Nice, well, he is just 1 win away from coming back on Sunday. Great stuff here at the World Magic Cup. So 8 more matches coming your way in just a little bit, because those 8 are done, so we'll be getting the players sorted out. But it is deck tech time here at the Magic the Gathering World Cup. So why don't we take you to that deck tech? It's time for Grixis Delver with Team America's Kevin Jones.